What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 4 of Betting the House. As always, I'm your host, Sully, and we're powered by the Alithio Network. Don't forget to check out the network's other shows like Chicago Hockey Radio, Forum Blues, Good Morning Hockey, Let's Cool One. Thursdays, like always, we're going to be talking a little bit of NFL, college football, first game of the NHL season, and a little bit of UFC. But before that, let's get a little bit of a gambling warning. The following content may discuss topics related to gambling. Gambling can be addictive and is not suitable for all individuals. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. In the U.S., contact the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org for resources and support. Illinois residents can also contact 1-800-426-2537 for local assistance. Please gamble responsibly and be aware of the risks involved. You must be 21 years or older if gambling in Illinois. All right, recap. Tuesday's bets. That day, I had Detroit money line, game 1, it cashed. And the Padres money line cashed for both the game 1s. Orioles, terrible, both in game 1 and game 2. Same with Houston. I go 2 for 3 on Tuesday. 2 for 3 on Tuesday, 2 for 4 on Wednesday with Houston and Baltimore choking their series away and absolutely getting swept by the lower seeds. What's going on in the AL right now? Who cares? We'll talk about it Tuesday. Mets Brewers cash last night. I was sweating that game so hard. Brewers were down 3-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. 0-1 in the 3-game series, so it's put up or shut up time. Who other than 20-year-old Jackson Chourio hitting his second home run of the night, and shortly followed by Mitchell hitting a 2-run homer. Final score 5-3 to end the game. Force game 3. It hits -110 odds. Bang. And, of course, series going to the Padres last night with the 2-0 in San Diego. Moving over to the WNBA. Oh, my God. All I can say, I hated it. New York Liberty, I took them at -4.5, meaning they win by 5. They only won by 4. Ionescu missing a free throw with 11.6 seconds left, and then getting fouled shortly then again after and making both of those. Would have cashed. And then, of course, the Connecticut Sun at +5. No, they lost by 7. If the starting guards on the Suns shot better than a 2 for 11 from 3, would have cashed. All right, yeah, there's the recap. Going just about 50-50 for Tuesday. Let's move on to NFL Thursday Night Football. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Atlanta taking on the Falcons tonight, 7:15 Central Time. Honestly, I have the Bucs at +1.5 with odds being set at -105. The Falcons are a tough team to figure out. On one hand, they've been playing really well in a few spots this season, winning at Philadelphia or their close-fought game against the Chiefs, even if it was a loss. Last Sunday was not one of those games. At home against the Saints and favored, they didn't score a single offensive touchdown. Their defense was even worse. 25 first downs, 366 total yards. Huge disparity in the time of possession, almost 36 minutes to 24 minutes in favor of New Orleans. They just made too many mistakes, though, which led to field goals and touchdowns by the Falcons' defense and special teams. But, we didn't come away feeling any better about Raheem Morris's program. We can't say the same at all about the Buccaneers. They dominated the Eagles on Sunday in a way that the box score couldn't even really show. Baker Mayfield threw for 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Bucs outgained the Eagles by more than 200 yards. Whether the Eagles had a down game or not, it was a very impressive showing by the Bucs that controlled the entire game. It was a great bounce back spot after their head scratching showing in week 3 against the Broncos. I would say their only red flag, though, heading into this game is their injury report. they have so many injured players, Mike Evans, multiple offensive line, and others. But the good news is that 90% of their injury list played last week. So I'm thinking a very similar thing is going to happen this week. And, the Falcons are not the picture of health either. Multiple starters have questionable tags on them. No designation is as bad as Robinson's, who's dealing with some ongoing hamstring issues. Anyway, I kind of take a look at this. It's a pretty even battle. I recommend taking Tampa as a teaser, but if you must pick a side, the value's on the feisty underdog. Moving on to Sunday morning. Jets in Minnesota taking on the Vikings at 8:30. I have the over 40.5 at minus 105 odds. I really like this over. This could be seen as another London game, but it's important to note that these matchups obviously take place at different stadiums over the years. This matchup comes from the Hotspur Stadium over in England, and all 8 of the games that have taken place there have it seen at least 40 points scored, as was the case with the Eagles-Packers game in Brazil. Matchups in soccer stadiums can sometimes result in shootouts. That could be the case here. But, regardless, if we don't even take that into consideration, the number still feels low. The Vikings have allowed the most passing yards in the league and are now welcoming Aaron Rodgers, who is no doubt motivated to bounce back after that poor showing in Denver. The Rodgers and the Jets proved it in New England in week 3 that they can be a very dangerous offense when they're all clicking and all firing together. And I think that moves the chains against Minnesota. As for the Vikings, they have the most passing touchdowns in the NFL and boast the second highest passing yards per attempt. Both teams easily have the potential to go over 20 points apiece, so I'm definitely easily taking the over here. And our last NFL game I wanted to highlight was the Cleveland Browns in Washington taking on the Commanders at noon. I have Washington -3 at minus 120 odds. They've been on an incredible heat streak right now, starting this season. Nobody was really predicting this at all when the season started. They're an absolute wagon, at least on offense. Jaden Daniels, number 2 overall pick. He's tearing up the league in these very early stages in his rookie career. Kind of brings back memories of Stroud last year. Daniels has just under 900 passing yards, 218 rushing yards, and 7 total touchdowns, bringing his team to 3-1 and riding a 3-game winning streak. They have scored 38 and 42 points in their last 2 games. And at the complete other side of the spectrum is Cleveland and Deshaun Watson, who, specifically Deshaun Watson, he looks completely washed. He got one of the worst contracts in all of sports. The Browns are 1-3 and not going anywhere fast. Nick Chubb is close to returning, which I guess is a good thing, but he's not playing this weekend. And I don't think they have, an answer for their running back for this franchise in the first place. Given that Watson can no longer make something out of nothing at this point in his career, I think he needs help from his pass catchers, and he isn't getting it. Nobody on this team has reached the 200-yard receiving mark through the first 4 games. Anything other than a comfortable win for Washington would be a surprise to me. Let's take a breath, move over to college football. Thursday night, 9 p.m., Sam Houston State at UTEP. The Bearcats hit the road in the Sun Bowl Conference to take on the Miners of El Paso in a conference battle. The Bearcats streak in with 3 consecutive wins over Hawaii, New Mexico State, and Texas State. They last week's win 40-39 over the Bobcats at Energy Stadium in Houston was incredibly impressive because Sam Houston won outright when they were at 11.5-point underdog. They've scored 31 or more points in 3 straight outings and 4 out of 5 games also. Their dual threat quarterback, Hunter Watson, has been a little bit mistake prone with, his 5 picks, but he also has 635 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, and also leads the team in rushing yards with 338 and 4 touchdowns. Their running back, Jay Ducker, also has 278 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns, and 3 other Bearcats have 210 or more rushing yards. For UTEP, it's another rough season as they start 0-4. Last week they decided to bench their quarterback, Skylar Locklear, in favor of Cade McConnell at Colorado Step. And they were actually able to move the ball against the Rams. Eventually, though, Colorado State won 27-17 as a 9-point favorite. UTEP has managed just 321 total yards per game and just 79.8 rushing yards per game. And on the defensive side, UTEP allows 223.5 rushing yards per game, and that's not looking good against the red-hot Sam Houston team who just eats up yards on the ground. So again, I'm taking Sam Houston State minus 10.5 at minus 108 odds. Moving over to Saturday, I wanted to talk about the number 9 Missouri taking on number 25 Texas A&M at 11 a.m. Saturday. I have Missouri plus 2.5 spread at minus 110 odds. The Aggies beat the Razorbacks last week, improving to 4-0, but it felt more like Arkansas lost that game. Arkansas outgained the Aggies 379 to 297 yards, converting just 4 of 13 third downs, but capitalized on 3 Arkansas turnovers and a key fourth quarter touchdown. Missouri, on the other hand, had a bye week after. Sorry about that. Missouri, on the other hand, had a bye week after outgaining Vanderbilt by 120 yards in a very close game. Texas A&M, their offense has struggled. Negative yards per play margin and ranking outside of the top 65 in offensive PPA, while Missouri's defense has excelled at stopping the run and creating havoc. Missouri's offense, led by Brady Cook, should take advantage of Texas A&M's weaker pass defense. This is Missouri's first game, and while Kyle Field is tough, Missouri looks poised for a win. With a bye week and no distractions, expect them to open up this playbook. The Tigers should escape with an outright win, but I'm going to take the points for some extra wiggle room just because this is Missouri's first road game. Let's talk about some hockey. Tomorrow, Friday, in Prague, the NHL is back. First game of the season takes place there as the New Jersey Devils take on the Buffalo Sabres, with both of them looking to improve upon rough 2023 seasons. The Devils have one of the best rosters in the NHL, yet missed the playoffs last season, forcing the front office to hire Sheldon Keefe as the head coach and overhaul the back end of their roster. The offense wasn't really the problem because it was averaging 3.22 goals per game, with Hughes, Bratt, and Hirscher leading the way, combining for 81 goals and 143 assists. The defense was the problem. It allowed 3.43 goals per game. The hope is that Hamilton remains healthy, but they made a lot of moves to fix this unit, getting Dillon, Pesci, a couple more this offseason. Moreover, the Devils overhauled their goaltending. They brought in Jake Allen as the backup to Jacob Markstrom, so that should be a new good duo. The Sabres, on the other hand, longest playoff drought in the NHL. And the hope is that by bringing in Lindy Ruff behind the bench, he will get the most out of this roster. The offense was very underwhelming last season, scoring only 2.98 goals per game. But the talent's there, without a question. You got Thompson, Tuck, Peterka scoring 79 goals and 86 assists last season. And those 3 will also be leading this unit forward. with a lot of upside, I think. While the offense looks to rebound, expect this team to be led by its defense, only allowing 2.96 goals per game last season, and plenty of stars on it. Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power anchor the unit, while Samuelson and Byram add depth, and additionally, they added Luukkonen in goal. I'm sorry, he showed a lot of great potential last season, and I think he carries it as the primary starter. Either way, I think Devils take the money line at minus 144 odds. Moving into the UFC, the first fight I noticed immediately was Roman Dolidze versus Kevin Holland, and honestly, I think Roman Dolidze has the upset win in this one. At plus 124 odds, it's a great steal. I think, Holland's moving back to middleweight, which I don't really like. Dolidze just fought at 205, and he's a big guy. I think he has the size and strength advantage against Holland, which will be pretty key when Dolidze tries to wrestle. I think you beat Holland by taking him down and keeping him there. Dolidze's got a great chin also, and I think he'll be able to take a few of those shots from Holland. I don't trust Holland's takedown defense, making it unlikely that he keeps it standing. But yeah, like I said, I backed Dolidze as the underdog to get the takedowns and ultimately the win. Moving on to the co-main event at UFC 307, Raquel Pennington versus Juliana Pena. I have Pennington by points at plus 110 odds. The bantam title is up for grabs. I think Pennington defends her belt for the first time against Pena. Pena hasn't fought since July of 2022 when she got dominated by Amanda Nunes, and I don't really think she deserves a title shot. She doesn't have a win over any fighter that is currently ranked, and she's also 3-3 in her last 6. She's not an elite fighter, and while Pennington may not be either, she is the champ, and she's very durable. I think Pennington keeps this fight, or at least should be able to keep this fight standing and just piece up Pena on her feet. She's a terrible striker and doesn't throw enough volume, so I don't think she will go hard for 5 rounds like Pennington does. Ultimately, I think Pennington uses her volume and pace to cruise to a 49-46 type of decision here. And finally, the main event, Alex Pereira versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. In the UFC's return to Delta Center in Salt Lake City, light heavyweight knockout artists are going to be exchanging leather in a main event for the evening with gold on the line. It's Alex Pereira defending his title against number 8 ranked Khalil Roundtree Jr. The odds say Pereira by knockout at minus 270. Huge favorite, regardless of if you choose knockout or money line in this one against Roundtree. Just because, Roundtree's accustomed and more used to the lower level of competition just coming up recently. Does he have a shot at defying those odds? Well, when you have power like him, I think anything's possible. Adesanya doesn't have the power of Roundtree, but he's still able to get that KO win over Poatan. That being said, if we're picking the more skilled striker of the two, the distance striking, check left hook, insane kicks, and the knockout threat on top of that from Poatan, take it. Roundtree has also been getting fielding questions, and, there's a lot of questionability about his durability, especially being knocked out several times by unknown names in the past. Honestly, I'm not surprised if both respect the other's power and this fight goes over 1.5 rounds in total. But I think before the 25 minutes are up, Poatan defends his belt with his 7th UFC knockout. Yeah, Raven, how you have anything?
I am not good at betting in UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Every single bet I've made is lost, so I just
No,
don't.
that's fair. What about the NFL,
NFL.
college,
I don't
hockey?
know. I mean, baseball wise, Brewers game tonight. I would
Yeah,
say
true.
bet the under personally. I know bats have been hot past few games, but this really is the make or break game for that team, for both teams they're playing. But I do think after how hot the Brewers were yesterday and the hot start that they had on, what was it, Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
that I think it's going to be a slow start to this game. Pitching is going to be really well. I would say I think the under is at 7.5, so I would take that. But I really hope the Brewers win, man.
Yeah.
I need a Brewers postseason.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Yeah, I mean, well, hey, that's all I've got for today. Is
I'm trying to see schedule wise for football. What we got? Buffalo Houston. I like that game.
yeah, I just wanted to bet on bets that you wouldn't have to have some extra subscription to watch more than one at a time, essentially.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that you could hypothetically, if someone wanted to parlay some stuff, they could do that and still watch all of it.
Yeah. I mean, most of the games I see are on Fox or CBS this week,
Yeah.
so that's always helpful. But I also think Packers Rams, that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I was debating that, but I had both of them last week, so I was like, okay, I should probably.
Jacksonville minus 2.5 against Indianapolis. I would take Indianapolis there.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, baby.
What's the Indianapolis plus 2.5?
Yeah.
What are the odds for that?
It doesn't give me like actual odd numbers. It just tells me the over under and the minus 2.5 for Jackson.
Okay, well, look into it. Obviously, the odds are most likely going to shift as we approach any of these game times. Keep that in mind. Obviously, I'm not telling you what to bet on. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in for more next Tuesday, 11 a.m. on the Alithio Network YouTube page. Again, don't forget to check out their other shows like Chicago Hockey Radio, Forum Blues, Good Morning Hockey, Let's Cool One, available everywhere. Audio for this will be available shortly after this live ends. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or smash 5-star ratings and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get them. Have a good weekend.